As we've seen, the sonnet form is very much associated with a tradition of the expression of feeling. It's a form that was scorned in the neoclassical period for being frivolous, lacking seriousness, but returned, as we've seen, in the Romantic period as part of this project of rethinking neoclassical aesthetic values of grandeur and greatness. It's also a form that exhibits the various tensions that we've been exploring in Wordsworth's poetry and theory. On the one hand, it's very conducive to the expression of feeling, but on the other hand, it's a highly structured form that requires careful crafting, in contrast with, say, the lyrical ballads. So, lines composed upon Westminster Bridge, like the other Wordsworth sonnets we're looking at this week, is a variation on the Petrarchan sonnet, the rhyme scheme A-B-B-A, A-B-B-A, C-D, C-D, C-D. So, in these poems, Wordsworth associates himself with a more old-fashioned mode of sonnet writing, even as he's adding his own variations to it. Notice the difference in tone in this poem compared to, say, The World is Too Much With Us. This is a poem about romantic vision in contemporary England, while The World is Too Much With Us is about the loss of that vision. So the first three lines of the poem build our expectations that this will be a typically Wordsworthian encounter with the beauty of nature. All of the hallmarks of Wordsworth's theories are here. The idealization of a heightened vision of the earth as the first word in the poem. An insistence on the importance of the receptivity of the observer. Dull would he be of soul. Anyone who doesn't appreciate this vision. But also notice here the shift in the emphasis from the poet as the one who is particularly receptive to receptivity being a kind of norm from which only the dull will stray. But of course the big shocker in this poem comes in line 4. This city now doth. If we were expecting a natural vision, we're very surprised when we learn that the subject here is the city, the locus of all the bad things that Wordsworth writes about in the preface to Lyrical Ballads and in many of his other poems. The only simile in the poem is the city doth like a garment wear the beauty of the morning. And of course, this is also use of personification. Wordsworth makes the city into a character in the poem, much as nature is attributed a life of its own in his other poems. So again, it's interesting to observe that London is constructed in a way that is parallel to the way that Wordsworth typically constructs nature. So what is the implication of this simile? First of all, if the city's beauty is like a garment, what can happen to it? Well, it can be taken off. It's significant then that Wordsworth is talking about the beauty of the city at a particular time. First thing in the morning, before all the bustle and noise of business and industry and people start to kick in. He lists the beauties of the city. Ships, towers, domes, theaters, and temples lie. Again, we're more used to Wordsworth listing off the beauties of nature. This list of supposedly beautiful things is again seemingly incongruous and yet made to sound ideal. These things open unto the fields and to the sky, all bright and glittering. So they're incorporated into the beauty of the natural scene. So it's the city's capacity for openness and harmonious relation to nature that makes it capable of being idealized in this way. The city becomes a part of its organic surroundings. This is precisely what is impossible in The World is Too Much With Us. In that poem, the speaker seems to despair of any kind of harmonious relation between the modern world and the natural world. There's also something of a paradox in Wordsworth's imagery. His celebration of nature stems logically from its celebration as bare and open to nature. The city is beautiful because it is not afflicted by the artifice that he normally associates with urban society. But at the same time, the city's beauty is figured as a garment, a covering that conceals its true nature. So is the city beautiful because it is spontaneously projecting this beauty, or is it beauty because it's concealing its natural ugliness? We see this in the line, in the smokeless air. Is that a line that makes the city more or less appealing? What does it suggest about how the air normally is? You wouldn't describe the air in the mountains or the forests as smokeless because you would just assume that. If you're describing the city air as smokeless, that indicates that it is normally very smoky. The poem does not, despite being a Petrarchan, in the form of a Petrarchan sonnet, the poem does not seem to turn between the octave and the sestet. Rather, we have an intensification of the original emotion, as we're told that the speaker ne'er never felt a calm so deep. And again, this is a reaction that we would typically expect to a natural phenomenon. The joy and peace that he experiences in, say, Tintern Abbey seems to be produced just as much by the city of London. But not only that, but it's produced in a more exemplary way by the city. The speaker has never felt a calm so deep. How could it be that the city produces an even more intense feeling of calm than nature? And again, is this the effect of contrast, the fact that this is an unexpected feeling? And we might also ask whether the final lines suggest a turn of sorts, or is this just another intensification of the original thought? Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is lying still. What does it do to the personification of London to say that all that mighty heart is lying still? Does this imply that London is dead, lying still? Or, going back to the deception motif, is there some deception at work? Still lying in the sense of untruthfulness. It is the echo of that word intended to suggest a form of deception, that the mighty heart of London is producing an illusion of calm and stillness, which is going to be to be changed very soon, given that he's writing in the early morning.